Hello students, my name is Ajay Kumar Srivastav and I am senior faculty in botany at Sri Chaitanya. In the previous lecture, we studied about structure of DNA and packaging of DNA, and we said that in a typical mammalian cell, total number of nucleotides is equal to 6.6 into 10 to the power 9. This is the total number of nucleotides, and during packaging 200 base pair in one nucleosome. So now there is a question that how many nucleosome are present in a typical mammalian cell. Now this is very simple. Total number of nucleotides is 6.6 into 10 to the power 9, and number of nucleotides in one nucleosome is 200, means 2 into 10 to the power 2, and if you solve this you will get 3.3 into 10 to the power 7. Okay, so total number of nucleosomes in a typical mammalian cell is 3.3 into 10 to the power 7. Now students, today we are going to start the search for the genetic material. Okay, this was told by Mendel that gene is a physical unit, a factor is a physical unit, but which chemical is functioning as gene? This search started in around 1928. Okay, and you see how this search was narrowed down. First of all, Mendel said that characters are controlled by factors or gene. Of course, the name gene was given later on by Johnson. Then Sutton and Boveri, they said there is a parallelism between genes and chromosomes. Parallelism between genes and chromosomes. Then T.H. Morgan, he provided the experimental proof of this, and he said genes are present in chromosome. And in the previous lecture we said that chromosomes are formed by condensation of chromatin. So chromosomes formed by condensation of chromatin. Okay, now chromatin, it is mainly made up of DNA and protein. That we have seen in the previous lecture, that chromatin is made up of DNA. It means either DNA or protein is the genetic material. So we have narrowed down to these two biomolecules. Either DNA or protein is the genetic material. And you will be surprised to know that in the absence of any experimental proof, for a very long time, protein was thought to be the genetic material. Okay, but later on, as experiments continued, it was finally proved unequivocally that the genetic material is DNA and not protein. So now let us see those experiments that ultimately led to the conclusion that the genetic material is DNA. Now students, let us see our first experiment called transformation experiment. This was performed by Frederick Griffith in 1928, and his experimental organism was the bacterium Streptococcus pneumoniae. Now there are two types of this bacterium. The wild type is called S type. Why? Because it forms smooth colonies. When you culture it, the colonies will be shining, glistening and smooth. That is why the name S type. Now why it is shining and smooth? Because it has capsule which is made up of polysaccharide. So due to this capsule, the surface is smooth and shiny. And this is the disease causing type, virulent. It causes pneumonia in many mammals, including human being also. And depending upon the type of sugars present in the capsule, it is further of several types, S1, S2, S3 and so on. Okay. Now the other is R type. These arise due to mutation in the S type, that is why they are called mutants. Now in these mutants, capsule is absent. So due to absence of capsule, the colonies they form are rough, not smooth. So that is why they are called R type, due to formation of rough colonies. And due to absence of capsule, they are phagocytized by the host phagocytes. That is why they cannot cause disease. They are non-virulent. And these are of different types. For example, if S1 will mutate, it will form R1. If S2 will mutate, it will form R2 and so on and so forth. So we have two types of cells, the virulent ones capsulated called S type and the non-virulent one non-capsulated called as R type. Now let us see Griffith's experiment. What he did, he injected the live S type. Remember, S type is the virulent type that causes the disease. So he injected the live S type into mice, and due to pneumonia the mice died. Okay. Now he injected live R type. Remember, R type is the non-virulent type that does not cause disease. He injected live R type in mice and mice live because they were not diseased. Now he heat killed the S type. Okay, he gave heat and killed the S type or S strain you can say, and injected in mice. Since it was killed, it could not cause disease, so the mice live. It means live S strain can cause the disease, but heat killed S strain cannot cause the disease. Similarly, live R type or R strain can also not cause the disease. Okay, but in the next experiment what he did, he mixed the live R type and heat killed S type. Okay, so he mixed this live R type and heat killed S type and injected in mice. Now logic says that mice should survive. Why? Because S type is pathogenic, but you can see heat killed S type cannot kill. Okay, and live R type is non-pathogenic. It means the mice should have survived, but when this mixture was injected in the mice died. And not only did the mice die, but from the body of the mice, live S type cells or live S strain cells were recovered. Why? We had not given any live S strain cell. Now by seeing the result of this experiment, Griffith concluded. Griffith's conclusion. Griffith said that the R type bacteria had picked up, absorbed some chemical from the heat killed S type, and as a result it has got changed or transformed into live S type. He called this phenomena as transformation, and the chemical that was absorbed for transformation as transforming principle, but he could not give the chemical characteristic of the transforming principle. So even after this experiment, the chemical characteristic of genetic material could not be determined. Next experiment is the extension of Griffith's experiment. This was done by Avery MacLeod and McCarty. You remember that Griffith discovered a transforming principle, but he could not chemically characterize the transforming principle. These three scientists, between 1933 to 44, they successfully determined the biochemical characteristic of the transforming principle. Okay, let us see how they did it. They separated the various components of heat-killed S cell like protein, RNA and DNA, and they took culture of the R cell culture. In one of them they added protein of heat-killed S cell, in other they added RNA of heat-killed S cell, and in the third one they added DNA of the heat-killed S cell. They saw in the first and second culture, means in the culture in which protein of S cell was added, there was no transformation. It means protein of S cell is not able to bring about transformation. Similarly, in that R culture in which RNA of heat-killed S was added, there was no transformation. It means RNA of the heat-killed S cell cannot bring about transformation. But in the culture in which DNA of heat-killed S cell was added, there were transformation, means some of the R cell they got converted into S cell. It means it is the DNA of the heat-killed S cell that can bring about transformation. It means the transforming principle is DNA. Now, there was a question whether DNA alone can do this or it is does this in with collaboration of other chemicals. To see this, what was done? DNA of heat-killed S cell was taken and it was added in three different cultures, all having R cells. Okay, in one of them protease was added. So if there is any protein, that will be digested, but protease cannot stop transformation. It means protein was playing no role in the transformation. In other one, RNase was added, so all the RNA was digested, but this could not stop transformation. It means RNA was not playing any role in transformation. In the third culture, DNase was added that digested the DNA. When DNA was digested, DNA of the S cell was digested, transformation stops. It means it is only and only the DNA that brings about transformation. So by these experiments, it was proved that the chemical characteristic of transforming principle is DNA. Now coming to our next experiment that proved without any debate and doubt that the genetic material is DNA. Okay, this experiment was performed by Hershey and Chase, Alfred Hershey and Martha Chase, 1952. And for this they use the Escherichia coli bacterium and bacteriophage, and you know bacteriophages are viruses that infect the bacteria. And as I said, you can see here the unequivocal proof, means without any doubt and debate, the unequivocal proof that DNA is the genetic material came from the result of this experiment. Okay. And this experiment is based on the fact that the protein has sulfur. Protein has sulfur, but it does not have phosphorus. So if you grow the bacteriophage, grow the bacteriophage in radioactive sulfur, then only the protein will become radioactive, DNA will not become radioactive. And second, DNA has phosphorus but no sulfur, and if you grow the bacteriophage in radioactive phosphorus, then only its DNA will become radioactive, its protein will not become radioactive. So this is the basis or foundation of this experiment. Now let us see this experiment. Remember I said that this experiment is based on the fact that protein has sulfur but no phosphorus and DNA has phosphorus but no sulfur. So what was done? The bacteriophage was grown for many generations on radioactive sulfur. You also call it as labeled, radioactive or labeled, same thing. were grown for many generations on radioactive sulfur. So the entire protein became labeled. Okay. Now, so capsid, you know, it is made up of protein. So the entire capsid become labeled. Now this bacteriophage was allowed to infect the host cell, that is Escherichia coli cell. Okay. After some time, the virus and the bacteria were separated by putting them in a blender. So first step was infection, second was blending. So all bacteria and virus were separated by blending, but they were present in a common mixture. Now what was done? This mixture was subjected to centrifugation. You know, centrifugation is a technique in which substances in a mixture are separated on the basis of their density. Now virus being lighter, it will come up, it will form the supernatant, while bacterial cell being heavier, it will come down and it will form the pellet, what we call, at the bottom. So this is how virus and bacteria will be separated. The top or the supernatant will contain the lighter virus and the bottom will contain the heavier bacterial cell. Okay. After centrifugation, it was detected for radioactivity. It was seen the radioactivity was in the supernatant, but at the bottom where bacterial cell was present, there was no radioactivity. It means the protein of the bacteriophage has not entered the bacterial cell or the host cell. It means protein of the bacteriophage is not the genetic material, because the chemical that has the that is the genetic material, it will have to go inside the host cell and there it will cause formation of the new virus particle. But since protein of the virus did not enter the host cell, it means protein cannot be the genetic material. Now same experiment was repeated, but this time what was done? The bacteriophage was grown for many generations on radioactive phosphorus, though the entire DNA of the bacteriophage became labeled or radioactive. And now these bacteriophages were allowed to infect the host cell, bacterial cell, and after some time the virus and bacteria were separated by blending. And now this mixture of virus and bacteria were subjected to centrifugation. So the supernatant contained virus and the bottom contained the bacterial cell. Now it was seen in the bacterial cell radioactivity was seen. It means it is the DNA of the bacteriophage that has entered the host cell to form the new virus particle. Okay. While supernatant had no radioactivity. Okay. It means the supernatant, the protein had not entered the bacterial cell, but the DNA has entered the host cell to form the new virus particle. It means the genetic material is DNA, and this was unequivocally proved. As you see, this experiment involves 3 steps: infection, blending and centrifugation in the same sequence. Okay, now we have seen that a proof came, unequivocal proof came that the genetic material is DNA. But children, you see, biology is a science where there are many exceptions. So there are certain exceptions here also, that in some viruses like QB bacteriophage or tobacco mosaic virus, the genetic material is RNA, but barring very few exceptions, generally the genetic material is DNA. Now why DNA has been preferred to be the genetic material? Let us see. But for that we should know what should be the property of a chemical that has to function as the genetic material. Okay. So see, properties of genetic material. DNA versus RNA. Why we have not used protein? Because you see, in Hershey and Chase experiment, it was already proved that protein is not the genetic material. Okay, so basically this fight is between DNA and RNA. So let us see. A chemical that has to function as genetic material, first of all, it should be able to generate its replica, means it should be self-replicating. It should be able to make its own copies. Okay, first, because the genetic material is transferred through gamete into the progeny, and there it should be able to express the characters. Okay. Second, chemically and structurally stable. Okay, this chemical, if it changes very frequently, then there will be no concept of a species left. So it should be chemically and structurally stable, so the characters are stable. Third thing is, but it should provide scope for slow changes or mutation that are required for evolution, because if the genetic material is so rigid that it does not bring about any change in itself, then new species will not be formed. And if new species, because new species are formed by accumulation of variations, and for variation to take place, mutation is one of the important tools. So no mutation means no variation, no variation means no new species formation, and if new species are not formed, it means evolution is not taking place, but evolution has to take place. So although it should be chemically and structurally stable, but it should provide scope for occasional change, so that evolution can take place. Okay. Next is, it should be able to express in the form of Mendelian character, because you know the concept of gene was given by Mendel. So any chemical that has to function as gene, it should be able to express in the form of Mendelian character, means it should have some mechanism for appearance of a particular phenotype. If a chemical fulfills all these criteria, then it is qualified to be the genetic material. Let us try to examine the various biomolecules on the basis of these criteria. As I said, first criteria is self-replicating. Now, protein cannot self-replicate, so protein cannot be the genetic material. But both RNA and DNA, they follow the rule of complementarity. That is why both RNA and DNA can replicate. Because you see, in viruses where there is RNA genome like TMV, that RNA replicates, and it replicates following the rule of complementarity. So both RNA and DNA have the ability to self-replicate due to following the rule of complementarity. Second, stability, which is one of the most important criteria. Now on the criteria of stability, DNA is much more stable as compared to RNA. Let us see why. If you remember Griffith's experiment, when the S-type cell was heat killed, although the cell was heat killed, but the DNA still had the ability to transform the R-type cell. It means it was functionally stable. Okay. And this is because DNA is double stranded. So on heating, the two strands separate, but when suitable condition, means when cooling takes place, due to the complementary nature of the two strands, again they rewind and form the double stranded nature. Okay. So first criteria, first reason for stability is the double stranded nature of DNA. Second, if you see that, if you remember the structure of nucleotides, in RNA at carbon 2 there is OH. This OH is highly reactive, which makes RNA easily degradable, hence less stable. But DNA at second carbon of sugar has H, which makes it more stable. Third thing, children, with the passage of time we have discovered about RNA having catalytic nature, what we call as ribozymes. So RNA, due to its catalytic nature, is more reactive, hence less stable. And fourth thing is that, you know, in DNA the uracil has been replaced by thymine. So this replacement of uracil by thymine in DNA makes DNA more stable. Now what is the reason for this? That we will discuss in detail when we study mutation. Okay. So second point is stability. So on the point of stability, you see, due to four reasons, DNA is more stable as compared to RNA. Okay. Next, coming to that occasional change. Now you see, RNA is more mutable. RNA is, because RNA is more reactive, so RNA mutates early. that is why you see certain viruses are highly mutable and hence less stable. Okay. So as I said, if we come to the third point, both RNA and DNA can mutate, but RNA being less stable mutates faster. That is why the viruses that have RNA genome, they evolve at a much faster rate. Okay. Third point. Now fourth point, to express in the form of Mendelian character. You know what is gene expression? Gene expression is synthesis of a specific protein by the genetic material. If you see, RNA can directly form protein by the process of translation. So RNA can directly express itself without taking the help of DNA, but DNA can never directly form protein. DNA will first form mRNA by transcription, and then by translation protein will be formed. Okay. So RNA can directly express without taking help of DNA, but DNA can never directly express itself. It has to take the help of RNA, because you see the entire machinery of protein synthesis has evolved around RNA. If you see protein synthesis or translation, all the three types of non-genetic RNA are used in protein synthesis. The mRNA has the coded message in the form of triplet codons for synthesis of a specific protein. The rRNA provides the site for attachment of mRNA to the ribosome, and the tRNA has the anticodons that decode the codons on mRNA to synthesize a specific protein. Now we come to the conclusion. It means both DNA and RNA can function as genetic material, but RNA being more stable is more suitable for storage of genetic information, and RNA being active, that is better suited for transmission of genetic information. Children, with this we come to the end of this lecture. Let us see what we did in this lecture, what we studied. We studied that how it was proved that the unequivocal proof was provided that the genetic material is DNA. Griffith's experiment only proved that there is some chemical being transferred from the S cell into the R cell, converting the R cell into S cell first. Then Avery, MacLeod and McCarthy, they proved that this transforming principle is DNA, but still many scientists were not very much convinced. But when Hershey and Chase performed the experiments, then they convinced all the scientists that yes, the genetic material is DNA, with few exceptions, as I said, in certain viruses. Now, why was DNA preferred to be the genetic material? We saw this, that DNA was fulfilling all the criteria that is required for a chemical to be a genetic material. And if we compare between DNA and RNA, RNA is also able to fulfill all these criteria, but there was one criteria on which DNA was scoring, and that was stability. Because genetic information has to be stored, and for storage we need a more stable chemical, and DNA, due to various reasons that we studied, is more stable as compared to RNA. So in the end we said that both can function as genetic material, but DNA is better for storage and RNA is better for transmission. Thank you so much. I think you have understood everything. In the next lecture we will start with RNA world. So DNA being more stable is better suited for storage of genetic information, while RNA being more reactive is better for transmission of genetic information. That is the end. In the next lecture, we will be starting with the RNA world. Thank you so much.